Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today let's make a Shibori style flag fold shirt. I made a flag fold style tea towel not too long ago, and I decided to do the same design on a shirt. I've done this before, but most of the time I usually dye these with liquid dye, but today I'm going to ice dye this one. I'm going to start by centering the shirt, and this process is going to go pretty fast, but I have a link down below in the description for this video to another video which shows how to center a shirt. Essentially what I'm doing is getting both halves of the front of the shirt right up next to each other and both halves of the back of the shirt right up next to each other. That way when I apply the dye to the shirt, the front of the shirt is going to look more similar, and the same thing with the back. Now that I have the shirt centered, I'm going to fold the shirt in half lengthwise. Then I'm going to fold the sleeve into the shirt. Then starting at one end of this fabric, and I generally like to start at the end that does not contain the sleeve, I'm going to grab one corner of the shirt and fold it up to the opposite side of the shirt, which is going to form a triangle. Then where I have that straight line, I'm going to pinch that seam, fold the shirt up, and now I'm going to have a triangle on the other side. I'm going to continue this process all the way up the shirt, alternating sides of the shirt. When I get up to the area with the sleeve, I want to make sure that my sleeves are part of this fold, not just a big crumpled mess in there. I'm trying to keep my folds smooth. Once I have the entire shirt flag folded or folded into a triangle, I'm going to take some rubber bands. And for this shirt, I'm going to use 3 rubber bands. I'm going to place a rubber band on each point of the triangle and take it to the opposite straight side or flat side. After the shirt was tied, I went ahead and placed it aside, and I waited until it was completely dry to apply the dye. I might have been able to apply the dye when this one is partially damp, but normally with thicker folds, I like to wait until they're completely dry. I have a blog post discussing this subject a little bit more out on my website, and I have a link down below in the description for this video to my website. Normally I just get better color saturation if the shirt is completely dry. So Amanda at Dalula Company has another new dye out, and this one is called Frost. So I want to try this color by itself on this shirt and see what the color splits look like. I've included a photo of the color swatch that I did, just so you can kind of get a feel for what the color is going to look like. So I'm going to apply the dye to the very bottom part of that triangle, the longer side of the triangle. So for my setup, I've taken a plastic tub or tote, and inside of it I've placed a metal rack. Then on top of the metal rack, I have a metal, I think they call them trash cans. It's just some sort of a metal basket, which I purchased from the Dollar Tree dollar store, and I'm placing the shirt down inside of that with one of the points facing down. I have another metal basket which I purchased from the Dollar Tree dollar store, and I have that one that I'm going to use to put the ice in on top of the shirt. Then just to make sure the shirt doesn't move around too much, I'm going to use some of my liquid dye bottles, the little tiny ones, just to kind of shove down in the side to keep the shirt more stable. So I have that long portion of the shirt, which is what is facing up. I'm going to apply Dalula Company's Frost to the very top of that. And I want to add quite a bit of dye because I am going to add quite a bit of ice to try to force this dye all the way through the shirt. Once I have the dye on the shirt, I'm going to add an additional sprinkle of dry soda ash over the top. Like I said, I'm going to add quite a bit of ice, and I want to make sure that all of the liquid from the ice doesn't rinse out the original soda ash that I have in the shirt from the soda ash soak. The fiber reactive dye that I'm using needs soda ash to raise the pH so that the dye will properly bond with the fabric. I'm using the other little basket, placing a fairly good sized chunk of ice, which is just kind of clumped together from my bagged ice, inside the basket, and then I'm going to place that on top of the shirt. I had one little area that I thought needed some more ice, so I placed an ice cube right there. Then I put the shirt aside and I allowed the ice to melt. After the ice melted, I came back and the dye had started moving through the shirt, but it was not all the way through. At least I still had quite a bit of undissolved dye left sitting on top of the shirt. So this time I went ahead and added some ice cubes into the basket and allowed those to melt. After the second layer of ice melted, the dye had gone through the shirt really well. So I went ahead and placed this basket that contained the shirt inside of one of the larger totes or longer totes that I use when I process shirts. It is a long, under the bed tote that has a lid, and I have a rack down in the bottom so that the shirts don't sit directly on the bottom of the container. I just sat this metal basket down on top of that rack, placed the lid on the container, and then I placed the entire container outside where it would process in the heat. I waited probably about 24 to 36 hours, and then I took the shirt to my utility sink and I started rinsing it in cold water. As you can see, the top where I place the dye is darker and the color gets lighter as it goes through the shirt. I think that'll give a cool effect to this color and to the design. After rinsing really well in cold water, I took the rubber bands off of the shirt and warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. I don't generally like to rinse for a long time. I prefer to go ahead and soak the shirts. So I added some really hot water to my utility sink, added a little bit of Blue Dawn dish soap to the water, placed the shirt inside, and just allowed the shirt to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. Then I put the shirt along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent into my washing machine and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so I've washed, dried, and ironed the shirt, and let's see what the shirt and this color looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one turned out really pretty. I think the design looks cool, and I really love this color. I think it's a beautiful color. I ended up with some turquoise, of course blue, gray, little hints of a light pinkish purple color, obviously varying shades of blue. I just think it's a really pretty color. So I went out to Dalula Company's website to look and see their description of this color. And according to their description, Frost showcases shades of blue with pops of turquoise, an array of cool gray colors, some pink tones, purples, and even sometimes a tan color or a hint of light green. This color most certainly reminds me of a wintry frost. We consider it a decent splitter, but it can lean on a lighter side dye. And that's exactly what I found. I was expecting this color to have some pretty good color splits, and I don't think it disappointed. I really like the color splits in this color. And if you notice when you look at the shirt, the really dark gray lines going down the front of the shirt, that's where I applied the initial dye. So it's really dark in that area. And then if you look to either side of it, I have some lighter gray lines that show up. And then on the back, it's a little more prominent with the gray. That is as the dye flowed down through the shirt. I also think that this dye worked really well with this fold because as you can see, the turquoisey splits kind of went along with the folds and formed another design, which I think is also really cool. So overall, I love the shirt. I think it looks really pretty, and I think Frost is the perfect name for this color. I love the color splits. I love the gray paired with that turquoise and the lighter blue. It's just such a pretty color. And if you're interested in this dye color, This dye color is one from Dalula Company. They are a small business located out in California, and Amanda is the owner who makes or formulates these dyes specifically for ice dyeing. So she mixes them with color splits and pretty flow in mind when she makes the colors. I have a link to her website down below this video in the description. And if you're wondering, this isn't sponsored. I don't get paid to do these videos, but she did send me these dyes so that I could try them out and see how I like them. But she told me to give my honest review, and I am. I think it's a really pretty color. By the way, because she is a single woman show, basically she's the one who does the mixing and makes the dyes to order, between the time when you place your order and when the order is shipped, it can be maybe up to 3 weeks in order for that to happen. So be a little bit patient. I think it's worth the wait for these dyes. I like the colors specifically formulated for ice dyeing, and I think they're a lot of fun to work with. Okay, so overall, I really like this shirt. I like the color, I like the design, but what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. I know the last time I did a flag fold and I did the flag fold on a tea towel, I applied the dye to the side of the fold, and that was pretty. The design was just a little bit different. I personally prefer applying the dye to the seam like I did on this one. But what do you guys think about that too? And if you've enjoyed this video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.